Hello everybody, this is Q here. This is the third part of all of Toon Harmony rigging stream session I recorded back in August 2020. From this part on, I mostly stream the rest of the rigging process like silently with the music on. So unfortunately, like I don't explain or describe things as much as I did in the part 1 and 2. So what I'll do is, I'll add some audio commentary to describe what I'm doing and just basic thought process behind it. So unfortunately, I don't go in depth with the techniques used, but if you have a question about certain parts, do let me know, write in the comments, and I'll see if I can make a separate short clip videos to explain that more thoroughly. So let's start with part 3. Continuing on from part 2. You'll notice I did a bit more work from the end of part 2. There's been changes there, so I completed most of the head. You can see the hair is done. I duplicated the eyes to the other side. And I think just before this stream, I also just did a quick a test of just doing, you can see a little bit there, the little bit of expression of Olive, slight animation test that I've done to see if everything's working. Yeah, so she's just rolling her eyes there. And now, I'm just clearing a bunch of animation frames. I think I was kind of okay with the result. I'm writing down a bunch of notes too. Yeah, always writing the notes when you're rigging so you don't forget, because there's, I don't know, feels like there's at least like 1,000 things to check when you're rigging and all that. So what did I write there? Back eyelid shine, back eyelid highlight, and bang deformer. So I think what I wrote there is, because I duplicated the eye and then like flipped it, of course the eyelid or eye shine, the pupil shine there is going to be flipped, and same with the eyelid shine there. And I don't want animators to like manually like flip them every time, so I'm creating another cell that has a flipped position. So the when you're animating, you don't have to worry too much about manually moving the highlights back into position, if that makes sense. So that's what I'm doing there. And now I moved on to her collar. I might be changing the shapes because I wasn't too happy with them. So I'm on the line art changing the shape, and because when I change the shape, it also affects all the other layers, so I have to make the edits on the line layer, and then if I have any other stuff on overlay, I have to redo that, and same with the color. So I'm quickly making the just slight design tweaks. And the rigging process of that is kind of very similar to how I did the ear in part 2. So when those collar pieces are separated from the neck, they still show like completed shape. So the mistake's not as obvious. And I guess I'm pretty happy with that. Cross out what I'm finished. What am I moving on to now? Shoulder. Looks like I'm creating a bunch of elements to move on to rigging or creating assets for the torso area. Just quickly plugging them in. Just sort of quickly organizing and put it into the rig. Quickly, roughly plugging them in, naming them. Looks like I'm creating another shoulder piece there. Yeah, some more shirt pieces. And now I'm organizing into the node view there. So I'm starting to draw the chest piece first, the largest one. roughly putting them into place, trying to minimize the contour points as much as possible. And adjusting, I just adjusted the cutter of the neck, bottom cutter there. And here, I believe I ran into some glitch where I just couldn't add contour points for whatever reason. And it was a little odd. So I'm just restarting the program there, and that didn't fix it. And I was just troubleshooting really quickly, creating a new square, and those seem to allow the creation of contour points. So I decided it's not really worth hassle to figure out what the heck really happened. So I just start anew with the new piece, and that seems to work just fine. So again, minimizing the contour points as much as possible, make it nice and clean. So I fill it with the skin color. I guess I could have filled it with shirt color. I think it's just same difference, but here, yeah, I'm deciding to put the separate shirt piece into that torso shape there. So basic cutting, inverse cutting into that torso shape. And yeah, so a lot of the rigging process, once you learn a couple techniques, it's just applying the same thing in a different place. So at this point, I have this like in the node view, I have this like a basic template set up for all my rigging. So like you can't really see it, but there's just grouping of overlay layer, line layer, color, underlay. It's all like set up, and that kind of works for most of it. So I just copy and paste it, and then also now I'm working on the chest. And it's basically, yeah, when you're trying to put another shape into another shape, it's again, it's the same concept as what I did with the ear in the part 2. So, it's exactly the same thing, just different body part. Once you get used to the flow, yeah, you just copy and paste and adjust artwork as needed. Here, yeah, just adding a bit of the undershadow on the chest area there. And I'm constraining that, like inverse cutting into the chest shape. Now I'm creating shoulder. Again, with the shoulder, exact same thing. For the most part. Because, yeah, I'm just trying to put a shape into another shape. Make it like connect flawlessly. The animators can choose or not to use it, but sometimes it's always better to have it than not. There is such a thing as over rigging, that's for sure. But in this case, it's the shoulder. It's fairly common piece that for this type of design is definitely good to have. If it's more like a graphic simplified cartoon, you probably don't really run into needing shoulder pieces. But this character is slightly more anatomical, like a human, so yeah, that's why I added the shoulder there. And just also, yeah, now I'm just organizing quickly some of the hierarchy in the node view. Just doing it when I can. Oh, and yeah, you can see my dog very quickly there. She does not like to be held. Okay, yeah, so I'm adding another bunch of elements that I think I need. Looks like I added a bunch of like an elbow, shoulder, arm pieces. It looks like so. So yeah, as you can see again, I'm just copying and pasting that grouping of rigging that I have, like a pre-rig template. It's nothing major. It's just a bunch of node views, uh, but it does save time. So in here, I'm creating those circular points. So if you're gonna rotate an arm, it's gonna rotate in circle. Any rotation, it's gonna be in circular. It all depends on your design or like art direction, but the circle rotation is the easiest, and that's also primarily why I chose this style to showcase it. And that's why also many shows, especially like a rigged type of shows, like you'll see a more rounded style than the angular ones. It just takes less time to put those characters into position. So yeah, I just created the upper arm and lower arm, and because I used that same circular shape, like when I put a pivot in the correct place and rotate it, and it should work perfectly. Here I'm creating the grabber, or I'll get to it soon. Because let's see. Yeah, I guess I decided to go with creating sleeve now. I guess for efficiency's sake, it's probably easier to just create all the pieces you need for the most part and then do rigging, like going back and forth. Yeah, I just had to restart. But going back and forth from like asset generation to rigging and all that, it takes some time for the brain to like adjust. So yeah, ideally, I should create all the, like if I'm making an arm, just making all the, draw all the assets first. So here, similar to how I did the eyelids in part 2, I'm also creating the 5-cell curvature. You can create one cell and then put a deformer on it. That's certainly a way that you can do also, but it does make a rig slightly heavy, so depending on how fluid your animation needs to be, might be a better idea for animators to just have them pre-posed like curves instead of having a bunch of deformers everywhere. So here, yeah, I am now creating the patch to work with the shoulder line, then where the shoulder connects with the arm, right? So in this case, it's slightly complicated because I'm not just connecting the upper arm to the torso, but also there's a shoulder, so trying to make that work with the 3 different pieces there. So I guess I did that fairly quickly. So I created a tag, so you can see that the pink dot there. So that's because the cutter itself are invisible. If you attach anything to the cutter node, it becomes invisible. So I put the pink dot in the overlay so animators can actually see it and then grab it. But also you put a visibility node attached to that pink dot. Doesn't have to be pink, can be any color you want. But yeah, you put a visibility node underneath, and in the options there's 2 checkboxes, OpenGL and soft render. So you can choose to, or yeah, so you just unchecked soft render, and then once you render it out, the pink dot won't be visible. So I'm working on the cuff. I think, yeah, same as before. Also just doing 5 different curvature poses. Probably need a lot more than that, but I think when you're rigging, when you're doing some asset generation, I think you might want to go for something that will be used like 80 to 90% of the time, for the most part. If it's like a main character, obviously, you want to generate more, because the main characters would have to go through like more different poses, different angles and stuff. But you don't want to spend too much time generating piece that's not gonna be used very very often, and when the animators need it, they can generate themselves, or have some like a posing department handle that as well. Okay, so let's see, I'm making cutter. I think, I guess I decide to go with the cuff having a cutter. So you might see later in the lower arm piece, we'll have 2 separate colors. So in the color layer, I'll probably have a skin tone, and then now underlay, I'm gonna put that glove color there. So I'm gonna put that glove color inverse cut into that cuff color, that cuff cutter. And now you can see, if you move the cuff up and down, the orange color from the forearm will get revealed. Here I'm making a cuff interior. I guess I'm just creating that straight onto the same element as I did the cuff. But I separated and I cloned that and then gave it its own peg. So you'll be able to just adjust it independently from that main cuff shape. Okay, so what are we doing now? I guess I'm starting to work on the hand. So with the hand also, I'm trying to connect that hand shape as closely to that circular shape as well. It's not always entirely necessary, but and not every design can accommodate everything to be in that circular rotation template there. I'm not sure if I end up deciding to go full circle in every wrist or not. It's not completely necessary. Yeah, and I'm creating basic hand. Yeah, I'm not doing the full hand here yet because I haven't really spent time doing all the hand poses and gestures. But I'm just building one just to put things into place. But later when I actually get to creating the real hand with a bunch of poses, I'll probably readjust the rigging. And here, doing another patchwork for the hand. Yeah, you don't always have to do that. It's just the way I prefer. I've certainly seen a lot of rigs, not using the patch in the wrist part. It all depends on preference sometimes. It's not always like a clear cut, black and white, what's better and what's not. I think a lot of the rigging comes to the preference. Creating the elbow and wrist, something there. I guess I'm pretty much done. I'm just double checking stuff's working right. Now I'm adding deformers to the arm. I'm adding primitive deformer. Just 4 points. Fairly simple. Yeah, I decided to go with the primitive deformer and not a spline deformer. Spline deformer is like the one that goes straight in the middle. But I just decided to go with the primitive deformer so I can just change the shape. Because you look at that straight arm and it's not exactly very appealing shape all the time. Depending on the look you're going for, but I like the ability to kind of change the shape a little bit depending on the pose, give it a bit more appeal and clear line of action. So I'm quickly duplicated the arm, plugging everything in. And here, I'm just using the peg to drag things over. I have a new method now using the static peg. There's a different module for it, but in this one, I just used a peg to move things over. The one downside of doing this method is if you hit Shift R to reset every position to default, like that duplicated arm is gonna pop back to right on top of the other arm. And if I were to do it now, I'll do it slightly differently. I might even update it in the future, this rig. And I think now we're moving on to quickly adding a spline deformer in the torso, and you can see the singular deformer going in the middle. And I'm getting a kinematic deformer, the kinematic output, and then it's very going quickly, but I'm attaching to the chest piece. So when I move the deformer, the chest piece follows, but does not deform with it. It just uses the transformation, X and Y information to move, but not like the other curvature of the deformer. So quickly checking the pivots and hierarchy. And yeah, hierarchy, every rigger or animator might have slightly different preference. So it's good to be as efficient as possible. Like just having too many hierarchy in between does slow animation down. So but then not having enough hierarchy gives animator less control, so that's annoying, but also like it's not a problem that can't be solved by animator just adding a peg. I'm just double checking things here. Organizing the node view a little bit. I duplicated the arm and plugged it in, but like that's all kind of temporary because I always will find a bunch of things to tweak and fix on the original arm, our screen right arm there, so Olive's left arm, especially when we later get to actually drawing the hand pieces and stuff. So most likely I'll probably like delete that whole other arm and just reduplicate it. But for now, yeah, just have it on there. Okay, so everything looks okay so far. And now we're moving on to creating some assets for the hip. So I added a pelvis and belt. And again, it's the same thing. I'm trying to make that hip pelvis shape that will, gets seamlessly work into that torso shape. Now here I'm trying to match that bottom part of the hip with the circular connection and of the thigh, the upper leg area there. I'm trying to match it up so if once you move the leg in, with that circular rotation, it will work somewhat. I mean, the animator will always have to kind of tweak things a little bit here and there to make things look nice, but like you want the basic rig to be, you don't want to rig it in a way that animator will have to counter animate something every time. So trying to make it as close and friendly as possible. Now here, it's been a while since I rigged anything, so I'm opening up my KD rig to quickly reference what the heck I've done. And yeah, trying to see if what I've done in the KD rig works. Then I'll probably just replicate it. Yeah, just quickly checking the choices I made with the KD rig was, if I'm satisfied with that or not. And looks like I just decided to wing it. So here I'm making something called leg guide, so similar to what I do with the arm. Just probably gonna create a bunch of circles. And then copying and paste, bring it down so it's lined up, like pretty straight. And I'm slightly adjusting the design there because I think I find the lower leg a little bit too long compared to the upper leg. Looks like I'm saying in chat I'm gonna draw some mouth chart now. I wonder why that is. Did I just give up on the leg? Alright, we're doing a mouth chart now. I guess I just got tired of because the leg is so similar to arm. I guess I just wanted a little bit of a break drawing something else. But I think what I also could have done is just like kind of like duplicate the arm piece, or like the whole arm like grouping, and then just use it as a leg, and then just change the art. Alright, so mouth chart. I didn't think I will get to mouth chart so soon, but here we go. So with mouth, the basic poses you need are, well, if anyone's been to like animation school and they teach you how to do lip sync, at Sheridan they did a quick assignment of a character saying meow, and that covers most of the mouth shapes you need for lip sync, other than so meow, so close mouth, and then now I'm working on the E sound, and then slightly opened, meow, right? So opening the mouth more and more. I'm sketching from that design reference I have to get the appeal. That mouth might be too open, so I'm just doing a one in between, and also trying to get that funky teeth shape. So meow, and then it will turn into ooh. I'll probably sketch into the ooh shape, and then yeah. So here I'm transitioning into ooh, and then the other you need might be other one you need is a F sound, like F. And with that, you can probably get most of the lip sync, if not all. So there I'm adding the F sound, lip shape. And this is happy mouth. So in the cartoon, in general you have two types of mouth. Like, so this is happy mouth, and then I'm doing a sad mouth. And sometimes you might see in some production they do neutral mouth. So it's kind of like happy, but like less curved. But I think for the most part, just having a happy and sad will get you pretty far. So with the sad, it's the same thing. Trying to go with that, like a meow, lip shape. So closed mouth, open mouth, slightly larger open mouth. And the method I'm doing here is it's just going to be simple cell swap for the lip syncing. You know, in some production you might see a bunch of lip shapes, but they also have a bunch of deformers on them. But for this rig, I'm trying to be as simple as possible, as light as possible. So I'm just gonna, you know, be content with just swapping the cells. So I'm drawing everything right now on one layer. You know, this is just gonna be reference, but when we're actually getting to build it, I'm gonna build the teeth and tongue separately. But depending on the production, if it's like, if you really want to go real simple, then like you might see some mouth chart that includes the teeth and the tongue, like kind of baked in, like a drawn in there. So again, like too many option for the animator might slow things down, but not enough will also slow things down, because like if the animator wants some specific pose, then, and if the rig is not broken enough, then you know they either can't do that or have to spend time like creating a new mouth shape. So finding that sweet spot is the best. Okay, so I think we're about done with sketching the mouth. Okay, adding the bottom teeth there. And when the character is talking, like you know, people generally don't show the bottom teeth too much in cartoon, unless they're opening their mouth really wide. But I mean, yeah, it doesn't mean, you know, it's always better to have it than not, especially teeth. Like you will definitely need it. So, and especially if the character is like, you know, pronouncing something like very slowly, like they're closing their mouth like, hey, like very slowly, then you definitely need that bottom teeth for sure. So it's not even a matter of debate whether to have a bottom teeth or not. But yeah, the way I position the bottom teeth is pretty low, right? So like I mentioned, like you don't see the bottom, you don't use or see the bottom teeth too often, and so you know, you kind of want to hide that as much as possible. You don't want the bottom teeth will be showing all the time, and then the animator will have to like manually drag it down and hide it out of the view. So in that case, like a bottom teeth, if the animator wants it, you know, might have to like grab it from the network, or just go to the like big mouth open position and just grab it from there. But we don't need a like separate like a grabber for it, even though it's out of the view. Man, looks like I'm going all out on this mouth chart here. So yeah, I am proceeding to clean up, and I guess I am trying to finish this whole thing. So yeah, I'm just doing the line art for now, because I'll always need to tweak and stuff like that. Giving it a bit of a thickness to the bottom lip there, looks like. Yeah, I don't know if I wanted it too thick, because I don't necessarily make it seem like she's wearing a makeup, but still give it a somewhat of a feminine feature. But you can see, like, I'm not redrawing anything from scratch. I'm just duplicating what came before and just, you know, tweaking it. So never redraw or build anything that you don't have to. Looks like I'm just answering some question about yeah, if I prefer like rigging versus hand drawing. I do enjoy rigging animation quite a bit because like I do like technical things, and I don't know. Yeah, that's why I also enjoy rigging sometimes, not all the time, and also don't really like to clean up too much. I like seeing the results very quickly. So yeah, if the computer can do the boring part of it, I'm all for that. I think the hybrid is probably the best. Like if you make the rig kind of light and less complicated, then it's much easier for animators to add their own parts and then add their own poses. But then, once you have a rig that is very complicated with tons of deformers and like lots of cutters and color overrides and all that, it, it's it's very difficult for the animators to add their own parts, and very time consuming to just draw one thing. So like for example, like the hand in this rig, the final version of the hand is it's just pretty much like one piece with like a one overlay. But with the Katie rig, I did like all the fingers are kind of separated, and those are like great, like if you have it set up, but then again, like with the Katie rig, if you need like a new hand at all, boy, it takes a long time to make a new hand, and that usually kills the flow when you're animating. So yeah, just checking if my line work for the lip sync is good. But I think that's all about it. Like it's all grind from here, So for that F mouth shape, I think here I decided to deal with it later because it requires a bit more rigging, and so I just wanted to finish the drawing of the mouth first. But yeah, here I think this is where I end the stream. I decided to continue later because this session was a bit over 2 hours. But for you guys on YouTube, yeah, I'll see you at part 4, where I'll probably continue finishing the mouth. So thank you for watching. Yeah, again, feel free to leave any questions and comments. And yeah, see you in the next video. Bye bye.